What's up, guys? It's Dave, the Military Millionaire, and today I want to talk to you about the best financial decisions you can make as a young officer in the military. Look, guys, it is no surprise that officers make more money than enlisted gentlemen or ladies. In fact, as a 11-year E6 in the military, I'm pretty sure that a 1-year 01 in the military still makes more money than I do. Now, I'm not going to take the time to look that up, but it's close. But I've been doing this for over a decade, so it is what it is. You know, that's the price I paid for not going to school to become an officer. However, I see officers squander this money, and it is crazy to me to see that. So I wanted to take a moment and talk a little bit outside my pay grade and say, look, sir, ma'am, if I was in your shoes, this is what I would be doing. And I hope some of you listen to me, because I know that there have been some officers that I've known who've done this and done so well for themselves. And I've also met some officers who did not do this, did not do so well for themselves. And they might have a cool ride, but they don't have too much else to show for their time in the service, which is a bummer because you guys have a huge opportunity. So the first thing is career starter loan. Now, if you're watching this and you're enlisted, just try not to gouge your ears out when you hear this. If you're watching this and you're an officer, yeah, we don't get this. I know some people think we do. Nope. Enlisted schmucks do not get this. So enjoy this benefit. The Career Starter Loan is a USAA offered product that is, I'm looking at it because I want to make sure I get this right, ranges from $25,000 to $35,000 with interest from 0.5 to 2.99%. And it must be paid back within 5 years. So essentially this loan is just money in the bank. It is, you don't have to take this. You can just collect the money and not have to repay this loan. However, it is essentially a like, hey, congratulations on graduating and getting your commission. Here's some free money. So yes, enlisted guys, no, we don't get that because we'd probably go buy a Mustang with 25% interest that we're now repaying 2% interest, and you know, it is what it is. That being said, this could easily be a down payment for a house. Now, you might be able to utilize the FHA loan, maybe even the VA loan, depending on how long you've been in the military, prior service, and all that stuff. But if not, $30,000 in most places across the country will be enough to provide a decent down payment. And if not, you could pool your money with other young lieutenants or captains or junior Marines or sailors or airmen or whatever to buy a house. So I have a friend who pulled together some money and they bought a home and they made it an investment. So I would say you take that $30,000 and invest it somewhere intelligently. I mean, shoot, if you got that loan for 0.5% for 5 years and you dump that money somewhere that earned you 8%, even if you did like a private money loan with someone and you just use the 8% to repay the 0.5% and you did that, you'd be making bank. So there are plenty of ways that you could do this without taking on exorbitant amount of risk where you could make this $30,000 work for you, which would just be awesome. But if you can, this leads into the next strategy. And this is what you, oh my gosh, this is the financial decision that could just totally change the trajectory of your entire life if you do this. And that is the house hack. As a young enlisted Marine, I'm not eligible for the basic allowance for housing. I wasn't, which is probably fine. I would have made some bad decisions, but I lived in the barracks for years. If you get stationed somewhere where you can go with a couple lieutenants, a couple other young officers and pitch in for a house, and house hack, your finances will never be the same. Your life will change completely because you'll learn how to landlord, you'll learn how to manage a property, you'll learn how to do all of these awesome things, and you will be paying almost nothing in rent. So the house hack, the long story short, is buying a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex, or something like that, or even a house like this with multiple bedrooms, and renting out spare rooms or units to cover your rent. So let's say you bought a triplex and you rented out 2 rooms or two units, and then you lived in the third one. And then let's say that because you're a lieutenant and you're used to having a roommate and you're not bothered by having roommates and whatnot, you rent out the 1 or 2 other rooms in this duplex to other officers. And so now they are paying the mortgage for your unit. The other 2 are covering their portion of the unit of the rent. So to put this in perspective, we'll say you buy a $300,000 triplex and it rents for, or the mortgage payment is $1,500 a month. And in order to make it a decent investment, you would need to make $3,000 a month in cash flow while you live there. Then when you move out, maybe you can make a little bit more. So let's say $3,000 a month is your goal, and you rent one of the 3 units for $1,000 a month, one of the units for $1,000 a month, and that's the going market rent in your area. Then you rent one bedroom to a lieutenant for $500 a month and another bedroom to a lieutenant for $500 a month. Well, that's your $3,000. So now you are living completely free. They are all paying your mortgage. The two lieutenants are happy because they're paying half of market rent to live in your place. You're happy because you're living for free, and you cover all the maintenance and stuff so that they, it comes out almost even. And that's a win-win-win-win-win situation. You're building equity. You're learning how to be a landlord. You're paying down principal and building equity in the home, but your tenants are paying it, not you. You're gaining any appreciation that happens at the time. And it's a great, great strategy. And even better than all that, you are pocketing your basic allowance for housing. So in a market where $3,000 is, or $300,000 is the price of a home, you're probably looking at $1,500, $2,000 in BAH, which means that you're getting to keep that, and your basic allowance for housing is not taxed. It's tax exempt pay. All your allowances are. So you are just reaping the benefits of buying a house and the tax advantages of buying a house while not paying a penny. And then when you move out, you easily rent that unit for $1,000 a month, or your two roommates continue to live there, and you can go rinse and repeat. Now, I will caution that you should not buy a house just to buy a house. You should buy an investment property. If you can't make the numbers work, don't dabble in it. Don't mess with it. Don't bank on appreciation. Be smart about it. Because even if you didn't buy a house, but you were renting an apartment or renting a house and then subletting rooms to people or just letting buddies crash with you, you could still live for free, and then you'd be saving even more money. Now that I've talked about how to mitigate your largest living expense, which is housing, you need to learn how to take that money and reinvest it elsewhere. Don't go blow it on booze and tattoos and fancy cars. Now, I'm not going to tell you to buy a junk car, although that could be a great way to save some more money, is to just buy a 5-6-year-old car. I've got a great video on buying cars here in the channel. Definitely check that out. But if you're not buying a really, really, really nice car and you're able to save some money, invest, save and invest, save and invest. So the video, How to Get Rich with the TSP, is definitely one you got to check out. And essentially, I talk about how to utilize your thrift savings plan to build long-term wealth. And the great thing is the thrift savings plan will allow you to utilize it as a cash reserves for your investment property. So like right now, I had a property that went super south, like almost lawsuit south, bad contractor, whatever. And I could have easily just pulled the money out of my TSP, fixed the problem. But I didn't do that because it wasn't really an emergency. I didn't want to tap into it. But the money I've built in that thrift savings plan could count as cash reserves for a property. That's all well and good, but it's not always a great idea to tap into the money that's sitting in your thrift savings plan. However, if you just let it grow, compound interest, time is your greatest friend. So if you can the more money you dump into it at a young age, the less you need to dump into it later. If you were able to max it out, the $19,500 into your Roth every year for your first 4, 5, 6 years in the military, I would be willing to bet that you would never have to contribute to it again because it would just grow and grow. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't continue to contribute, especially if you're on the new blended retirement system. At least match the 5% for your entire career. But what I'm saying is, if you maximize that while you were house hacking, you just dumped as much money into that as you could and then lived off just a small chunk for just a few years, then that would be taking care of your finances for retirement forever. And later on down the road, you could use it for self-directed IRA. You could invest in other things. It doesn't just have to stay in the thrift savings plan. But once you've done that, then you can just continue to build this nest egg of investments so that you can continue to invest and roll money into more real estate investments and build generational wealth. So if I was to give any advice to a young officer joining the military, it would be this. Take your career starter loan, buy a real estate investment, not just a home, but an investment that makes sense that you can house hack, and then house hack as many of the units out as you can. Get roommates in your property so that you're living for free or as close to free as you possibly can, and then invest as much money as humanly possible into your thrift savings plan and live frugally those first few years. And then as you progress through your career, don't increase your spending with every promotion. That's a dangerous trap. Don't get sucked into it. Just continue to save and invest, save and invest, save and invest. What this does for you is it allows you to have the opportunity to get out of the military whenever you so decide and know that you're taken care of. If you do this for 10 years and you decide, hey, I don't want to stay in the military, I'm done, you have built a nest egg that will take care of you. If you do this for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years and you become a 4-star general in the military, you will never have to worry about anything financially ever again. And the money you saved in your thrift savings plan or in real estate or whatever can get rolled into your kids, rolled into your grandkids, and you will set them up for generational wealth, which is huge. So just know that a few small actions at a young age will outweigh large actions at a later age. it would be almost impossible for me to catch up to what my thrift savings plan balance could have been if I just maxed it out the first 5 years from now on. And I could max it out for the next decade, and I probably still would not have caught up to where it would have been if I'd known what I was doing early on. But that's a video for another time. If you want more information on military car buying or how to get rich with a thrift savings plan, both those videos are on my page. Go watch them right now.